Welcome to the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation's 18th Annual Giants of Broadcasting and Electronic Arts Awards, produced by the International Radio and Television Society Foundation. We proudly salute our 2021 honorees: Emily Barr, Frank Boyle, Bob Costas, Russell Perry, Robin Roberts, Marion Ross, Neil Shapiro, Gordon Smith, and Jordan Wurtlieb. Special thanks to our Giants of Broadcasting top-tier donors: Fox Corporation, Crown Media Networks, Graham Media Group, Hearst Television, and the Walt Disney Company. The Library of American Broadcasting Foundation is a charity which plays a vital role in growing, preserving, and providing access to archives that represent the most influential cultural force in the world. The library itself is located on the campus of the University of Maryland. It's an amazing resource for producers, researchers, writers, industry professionals, educators, scholars, the general public, and more. Let's take a moment to bring the work of LABF to life.
Hello again, and welcome to the Make Believe Ballroom. This is Martin Block up in the Crystal Studio.
Everybody all dressed up pretty, and we're in the prettiest town with the nicest, warmest, most hospitable people we've met in many and many a moon. I hope if you're not doing anything better, you'll be around to watch, because we got some marvelous things to show you.
And in case you're listening to the Make Believe Ballroom for the first time, may I tell you that the Make Believe Ballroom is merely a ballroom that exists in our minds.
Each moment in history is a fleeting time, precious and unique. But some stand out as moments of beginning.
And its complex problems need the kind of attention. Wait a minute, John, wait a sec. Don't say anything, because I got to give this speech. Can you sit down over there now and be a good boy?
After the years that we have spent in preparation, tonight this country faces a serious crisis.
It's only by joining together and only by working together can we continue to move toward fulfillment.
I think it's a simply wonderful idea, and if you're like me, it doesn't make any difference. Bring everything you have, because the more the merrier.
It's now our pleasure to introduce you to today's MC. Those of you who attended our in-person luncheons these past few years have witnessed her amazing ability to connect with an entire ballroom of industry professionals in such a personal and engaging way. She's the Emmy Award-winning co-anchor of ABC News' Nightline. She also regularly reports for Good Morning America and 2020. Please welcome Juju Chang.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to once again serve as your host. I just wish we could be greeting each other in person. I can't believe it's been 2 years since we were last together at the Giants Luncheon in beautiful Gotham Hall. And who could have fathomed what would have happened in the world since then? We certainly miss being with you in person, but I must say I've enjoyed the opportunity to table hop on this new virtual platform we're trying. For those who might see this at a later date, guests get to enter a virtual ballroom and click on a seat at a table. Then you can see and talk to each other, which is wonderful. You can even leave your assigned table and briefly stop by another in order to congratulate an honoree or say hi to old friends. And when the ceremonies end, that table view will be restored for those who want to continue to socialize. So on behalf of the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation, including board co-chairs Jack Goodman and Heidi Raphael, and our Giants co-chair Joyce Tudrin, we want to thank you for your amazing generosity in supporting this event. I know you know this, but you've enabled the library to achieve its goal, and that is really something that you didn't think would be possible without having an in-person event. So you'll see a list of our supporters and congratulatory ads, honorary bios, and more in a digital version of our Giants Journal. For those of you in attendance, you've either received a link to the journal via email, or you can access one by copying the link that has been posted in the announcement section of this platform. The journal will also permanently be placed on LABF's website. And now I want to briefly share congratulatory messages from today's sponsors. You'll get to see many more ads from all of our friends in the Journal. So now, here comes the hard part. We've had so much fun in the past playing off of one another, pointing out people in the audience, joking around, and listening to tons of applause. Well, that's not going to happen this year, except through chat. So we'll miss the emotion of the moment, but we're going to be so happy saluting 9 amazing giants of broadcasting and electronic arts. Let the ceremonies begin. You know, every leader in our industry should have to pass a bar exam. We're not talking about the test that allows you to practice law. No, we're talking about successfully practicing the qualities of Emily Barr, the president and CEO of Graham Media Group. Much has been written about her, but we like how TV News Check captured her zeal for innovation and disarming sense of empathy. They said she had the ability to forge fast, deeply impactful personal connections that are rare among any level of professional, let alone a CEO. Emily oversees 7 local stations, each in a top 71 market. They are all recognized as news leaders and stand out for their community service efforts. She walks into her stations knowing everyone's name. In fact, she knows and genuinely cares about the more than 1,000 people who work for the entire company. She is nothing short of a visionary and transformative leader who is a magnet for attracting great employees. As you might imagine, her special brand of magic and selfless leadership is in great demand by our industry at large. She serves on the boards of the Associated Press, the Television Bureau of Advertising, and the National Association of Broadcasters Leadership Foundation. She's the chairman of the NBC Affiliate Board, as well as a former chair of both the NAB TV Board and ABC's Board of Governors. She has even served twice as chairman of the board of the Illinois Broadcasters Association. She's been honored as Broadcaster of the Year and presented with the Golden Mike Award. The list, of course, goes on and on. But one thing is clear. She leaves an indelible mark on both the lives of others and our industry as a whole. The Library of American Broadcasting proudly honors Emily Barr as a giant of broadcasting.
I want to express a very humble and heartfelt thank you to the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation and IRTS for this amazing recognition. At 5'2", I have never described myself as a giant of any kind, but I know that today I stand on the shoulders of so many courageous journalists, broadcasters, informers, and local media peers who have helped educate, celebrate, and uplift their communities. To those whose mission is to uproot corruption, expose injustice through storytelling, and provide perspective and analysis that can help all our citizens live fulfilling, meaningful lives, I salute and thank you. You are my heroes. I arrived in this industry somewhat by accident. My plan was to become a documentary filmmaker, but a chance college internship in the newsroom of KSTP in Minneapolis changed the course of my life. Now, 41 years into an amazing career, I am more convinced than ever that local journalism in all its forms, broadcast, digital, print, and social, is the linchpin to our fragile yet resilient democracy. Our ability to tell stories with honesty and compassion is essential to our country's continued health and well-being of all its citizens. On its face, this mission does not seem so complicated until you put into perspective the battles we are all fighting just to be seen and heard, and most importantly, believed. We live in fraught times. That may be the understatement of the century. Our inability to access a common, agreed-upon set of facts has destabilized and disoriented Americans and allowed conspiracy theories to take center stage precisely when we need facts more than ever. The past few years have felt like a dystopian novel with no ending, and yet I am in awe of the local journalists and broadcasters who carry on their daily work with grace, grit, and determination. You are my heroes. The local cities and towns in which we live deserve our attention and respect. The growing diversity and myriad voices making up our communities have enriched our nation in ways we have yet to fully appreciate. But one of our important roles is to tell their stories and promote understanding and awareness from which we can all benefit. Even more important, our co-workers at every level must reflect the rich diversity of our communities, and it is incumbent on those of us in charge to actively take on this responsibility right now. We must stop making excuses and get it done. To my fellow honorees, you have accomplished so much to further the best that broadcasting has to offer. Congratulations. To my mentors and peers, especially Hank Price, Arnie Kleiner, Don Graham, Tim O'Shaughnessy, Gordon Smith, Jordan Wurtlieb, and all my incredible Graham Media colleagues, thank you for your steadfast belief in me. You are my heroes, and I am so grateful to you all. Now, let's go tell more stories.
Here's the thing. Frank Boyle had nerves of steel long before he entered our industry. Shortly after graduating from high school, he flew 35 missions as a ball turret gunner on a B-17 bomber over Europe during World War II. Imagine squeezing into a 4-foot plexiglass sphere attached to the bottom of the plane with your knees up to your chest and 2 heavy machine guns. It was more surreal then. It seemed like a war movie. And guess what? Clark Gable was actually in Frank's squadron. After the war, Frank fell in love with selling radio time at Detroit station WJR. In 1958, he joined Robert Eastman National Radio Sales. He was fearless and known for the unexpected, such as giving a speech at a Radio Advertising Bureau conference, gallantly dressed in a suit of armor. Enthusiastic and headstrong, with the memory, I'm told, of an elephant and the sense of humor that just won't quit, Frank defined the elegant, dapper, firm leader, always on the prowl. And with his relentless focus on customer and client service, he pulled it off flawlessly. He is one of a kind. He quickly rose through the ranks and headed up an employee group that personally handed Robert Eastman a check for $4 million to buy out the company. He became chair of the board. Upon leaving Eastman, Frank acquired some stations and a cable system, which led to another AHA moment. Aha. He established the station brokerage firm Frank Boyle and Company, using his expertise to ultimately assist others in doing the same. Frank Boyle has been and remains to this day a veritable force of nature. He is a remarkable specimen of the greatest generation, having chosen to serve his country not only in wartime, but also as a part of the broadcasting industry. We now proudly present the man who was decorated with 6 U.S. Army Air Medals in World War II 77 years ago with a Giants of Broadcasting Award today. Congratulations, Frank.
First, let me thank you, Bud Steiger, for this generous introduction, and to you, David Kennedy, and your LA board for this wonderful award. And then we're speaking of giants today. I think it's fitting that I pay tribute to the 3 biggest giants in my lifetime who arguably got me here. First is Bob Eastman, whom I worked for for 15 years. He said you have to have enthusiasm and show business in your pitches to succeed. For instance, when we left his daily sales meeting at 8:30 a.m. in Manhattan, when we got to the door, we yelled Bob Eastman's motto, "Be fabulous or be gone." Next is Louis Abell, who owned 3 businesses out of York, PA, a series-sized radio group called Susquehanna, Fallscraft, the biggest pottery company in the country, and 2 cable networks. Lou taught us management discipline. Don't leave anything undone today that you're supposed to do today. Louis was a treasure and a giant. Last but not least is my dear mother. She taught my younger brother and me, say what you mean, mean what you say. Don't beat around the bush. If she were with us today, I would take this wonderful award home and brag to her that I was a giant of broadcasting. I can pretty much predict what she would have said. Sonny, it's all very nice, but we all know it doesn't make any sense. We all know that you can't be a giant of anything. We all know you're only 5'6". So much for mother's love and candor. To you, Dave Kennedy, and your board, I'm eternally grateful for this magnificent award. You are my giants for today. Goodbye.
As a young boy, our next honoree realized that his favorite enduring sporting events were inseparable from the voices that brought them to life. He could continue to hear Mel Allen and Red Barber call a game in his mind long after it was over. By the age of 28, that boy was hired by NBC Sports president Don Ohlmeyer, who insisted he looked like a 14-year-old. Well, he may have looked like a child, but Bob Costas was an old soul who was destined to become one of the greatest sportscasters of all time. And 4 decades later, he is on instant replay in the minds of millions of fans. Baseball fans no doubt hear echoes of Costas doing play-by-play of a favorite World Series game or one of 10 NBA finals that he called. Maybe you remember him hosting one of 7 Super Bowls or 12 Olympic Games. 12! Including the London Olympics that had a record-breaking 217 million viewers. Is it even an Olympics if it's not for Costas' soundtrack? I don't think so. And of course, there were Triple Crown horse races and U.S. Open golf championships as well. You see, Bob is kind of like a decathlon champion in broadcasting. He's covered every major sport with distinction. He's got encyclopedic knowledge that sprints at record speed and versatility that establishes him as one of his generation's, perhaps of all time, distinctive voices. He's now an on-air contributor at CNN, where he's providing commentary and perspective on a wide-ranging set of sports issues. He's also returned to HBO with a show called Back on the Record. Still true to his first love, though, of baseball, the man who to this day still keeps a Mickey Mantle card in his pocket can be seen on the MLB network. In addition, he just hosted the National League Championship Series on TBS. He is the only sportscaster to have won 29 Emmys, and his peers name him the National Sportscaster of the Year, a record 8 times. He's been inducted already into Sportscaster and Baseball Hall of Fames. So how fitting is it that that boy who grew up listening to Mel Allen and Red Barber now joins them on our distinguished roster of giants of broadcasting? Congratulations to the legendary Bob Costas.
Hello from the Major League Baseball Network studio 24/7. Full disclosure, I'm in my house. This has served as my home studio for baseball-related programming during COVID, and today at least, it provides a bit of a broadcasting motif. Let me begin by saying how much I appreciate being among not just this year's impressive list of awardees, but those who have received the Giants of Broadcasting Award in the past. They are people of extraordinary achievement who have made significant contributions to the history of broadcasting, and it's humbling to be listed among them. This year's honorees, as a matter of fact, include two past colleagues of mine, Robin Roberts, who was so tremendous as a sports broadcaster and then left all of that and most of us behind to become a true contemporary giant of broadcasting. And my friend Neil Shapiro, who for many years ran NBC News and with whom I collaborated on many news magazine pieces in the 1990s, and its work of which I remain proud. You know, it's difficult to assess your own career, especially in a virtual setting, but I would say this. If I'm going to be remembered at all for whatever modest achievements I may have managed, I would say this. My career has had a texture to it. At least I'd like to think so. Even within sports, I did a wide variety of sports, yes, but within those assignments, I filled a variety of roles. I was a reporter, an interviewer, a commentator, at times I'd like to think a journalist, a play-by-play man, an essayist, an anchor, or host. And I was lucky enough to do things outside sports as well, and I'll always be grateful to Dick Ebersol and Brandon Tartikoff for convincing me that I could do a non-sports show, an in-depth late-night interview show, and later with Bob Costas remains one of the proudest chapters of my career. I have great respect and admiration for my sports broadcasting colleagues. If there is one thing that perhaps in part distinguishes me among them, it's that my sensibility was one that included journalism. I embraced all of the drama and the theater and the shared experience and enjoyment and all the happiness that sports brings people. I believed in that, and I hope I did a good job of presenting it. But I also believed that somewhere within that coverage, there had to be a place for journalism. There had to be a place for legitimate and timely commentary and for an acknowledgement of the elephants in the room. And I hope that over time, doing that, even if occasionally it put me in a position of some controversy, that doing that in the big picture provided credibility and won the trust of the audience. In any case, I want to reiterate how appreciative I am to be included among such accomplished people, both today and in the past, in receiving with great gratitude the Giant of Broadcasting Award. Thanks to you all very much.
Russell Perry's career in journalism and communications began as a poor, struggling, on his own high school student who went to work for the Black Dispatch as a printer's devil. That's what they called it. They called interns or apprentices who would mix tubs of ink and fetch type. You know, even Benjamin Franklin had the distinction of being one. Russell eventually became editor of that paper and a 50% owner before founding the Black Chronicle, which is now the largest paid circulation weekly newspaper in all of Oklahoma. He launched Perry Broadcasting with the purchase of his first radio station back in 1993 because the young people who worked for him desperately wanted a station with an urban format. It immediately got high ratings. He then discovered that he could get an FM signal into Oklahoma City and save a lot of money if he built a 2,000-foot tower just 60 miles away. He went on to expand his broadcasting footprint with additional station acquisitions in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, and South Carolina. Today, he is chairman and CEO of Perry Publishing and Broadcasting, the largest independently owned, Black-owned broadcasting company in the United States. Along the way, Perry's influence as a civic leader also grew significantly. He served as Oklahoma's Secretary of Commerce, as well as on the boards of several banks. He's also served on the Board of Trustees of Oklahoma City University. Perry has been inducted into the esteemed Oklahoma Hall of Fame and the Oklahoma Journalism Hall of Fame. He was also the recipient of the NAB's National Radio Award. He has received many additional accolades, and we are exceptionally proud to add Giant of Broadcasting to that list. Congratulations to Russell Perry, an extraordinary entrepreneur, humanitarian, and trailblazer.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure and an honor to be honored with the Giants of Broadcasting and to be included. A person from Middle America, being an African American, it takes me back to the beginning of hip hop, and they did not have in Oklahoma City, top 50 market, they did not have a radio station playing hip hop music or R&B music for the most part. Saying all of that, I acquired my first radio station, AM daytime here. Now, I thought that the proper thing for me to do was to join the Oklahoma Broadcasting Association. And I applied and was denied. It was a challenge, and some years later, my son, after college, joined me in the company and later became president of Oklahoma Broadcasting. My daughter, who became manager of our stations in Georgia and South Carolina, she was later selected president of the Georgia Association. So things have changed. It's an honor and a pleasure to be identified with such an organization and to be recognized by all. This is very, very important to me and the industry in Oklahoma and for me and my company. Thank you very much.
You know, so many of us are among the more than 3.3 million people who start each day watching Robin Roberts. She's not just the co-anchor of ABC's Good Morning America, she is its heart. I happen to know that she sees getting up at 3:15 every morning as a privilege of being one of the first people to make us smile in the morning. And she always asks the question, what am I learning that's going to change someone else's life? We've watched her interview some of the most remarkable people on the planet, and the show has won numerous Emmy Awards. She is personally the winner of so many awards that it's hard to start listing without knowing where to stop. Reader's Digest, Most Trusted Person in Television, a Peabody, a Gracie, Broadcasting and Cable's Hall of Fame, and of course that Arthur Ashe Courage Award at the ESPYs for the strength and courage she has displayed throughout her life and her career. The list goes on, of course. And I mean, she's even in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, having been one of the standout athletes at Southeastern Louisiana University. She is also, though, the founder of Rockin' Robin's Productions, which creates informative, original programming. Its many offerings have ranged from just this past September 11th anniversary, ABC's 20 Years Later, The Women of 9/11, to the Emmy-nominated Robin Roberts Presents, The Mahalia Jackson Story on Lifetime. Robin is also the author of a book titled The Heart, 7 Rules to Live By. In addition to her memoir, Everybody's Got Something. It's a quote I've heard her use often to inspire other people's empathy. But it's just one of so many inspirational quotes Robin is known for. One is, be patient and persistent. Life is not so much what you accomplish as what you overcome. And as most of you know, she overcame breast cancer in 2007, followed by MDS 5 years later. She underwent a bone marrow transplant after her sister was determined to be a match. And so many in America said prayers to her along her journey of healing. It is an absolute tribute to her extraordinary journalism that she had the courage to be the story. She joined forces with Be the Match, and the bone marrow registry experienced a tremendous increase in life-saving donors as a result. Robin Roberts is a true giant of broadcasting. She has rocked our world with the best in journalism and inspired us to live a better life. Congratulations, my friend.
I'd like to thank the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation for this honor, and board chairs Jack Goodman and Heidi Raphael. Congratulations also to my fellow award recipients. What a privilege to be in your esteemed company. Very grateful to Richard Liebner, a board director, but first and foremost to me, a longtime dear friend. He not only has helped guide my career, he has done so with such passion and compassion. Now, I could bore you with stories about my career, but if you ever have a chance, you should have lunch with Richard. He's a hoot, and he will regale you with some incredible stories and a joke or two. It's no wonder that he and his better half, Carol Cooper, are both former recipients of this award, because they are indeed giants of broadcasting, and I'm truly humbled to join them. Congratulations and blessings to all.
While growing up in small-town Minnesota, Marion Ross would brave walking across frozen ice to get to a theater for that chance to have a movie transport her to a different world. I think we can all relate. Today, the very thought of Marion instantly transports us to warm and nostalgic memories of watching her in our favorite iconic TV series, Happy Days. She was the mom, Mrs. C, as Fonzie used to call her, and the one person he let call him Arthur. And oh my gosh, what fun was it to watch her interact with Ron Howard, playing her son, Richie. Indeed, these past 2 years have been a reminder of the amazing role that classic entertainment television plays in helping us escape and find laughter, even the most challenging of times. Marion ultimately had a dream come true at the age of 22 when she was signed by Paramount Studios for live TV at CBS in Life with Father. She even got to perform in Blithe Spirit live at CBS with Sir Noel Coward, Claudette Colbert, and the legendary Lauren Bacall. Her many credits include having starred in the acclaimed television series Brooklyn Bridge, for which she was nominated for an Emmy and was a 2-time winner for Best Comedy Actress of the Year by viewers for Quality Television. She also won a Golden Globe nomination for her role as Rosie in the movie The Evening Star with Shirley MacLaine. We remember her as Drew Carey's mom on The Drew Carey Show, the feisty matriarch on The Gilmore Girls, and the terrible mother-in-law on That 70s Show. She also played Sally Field's mother on Brothers and Sisters and Leslie Nielsen's wife in the movie Superhero. And did you know she was the one who gave voice to SpongeBob SquarePants' grandma and Mrs. Lopart on Handy Manny? I love that show. Marion has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and a performing arts center named in her honor that includes a life-size bronze sculpture of her. Today, the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation proudly congratulates Marion Ross as a giant of broadcasting.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for honoring me. It was so wonderful to be part of American broadcasting, early television. I want you to know that when we started to do Life with Father, that was live at CBS, audience out there. All right, you cannot make a mistake. All right, then years go by, and now we're going to do Happy Days, and we start to film like a movie. No audience out there. And then it occurs to us that it would be a lot more fun if we had an audience out there. And so now they became a very visceral part, and you could hear them laughing out there, and we would play to that audience. It was so much fun. We mostly, us older actors, had been already trained on the stage, so we were used to having an audience out there, playing with that audience. Now here's Ron Howard. He's not used to having an audience out there, but they fell in love with him. He fell in love with them. It was just thrilling. We had such a life going on there because we're sitting backstage in our little chairs waiting. We're all gathered together in our costumes, in our makeup. Audience is out there. They're waiting for the show to start, and we're sitting there so calmly and being good. And then Tom would start talking, and he'd say to the other cast, "You know your mother, this and that." And I said, "Tom, I'm really not their mother." We had so much fun together. I thank you all for being out there. The history of broadcasting is so important. Look what you created. It's so important for me to be a part of your broadcasting museum and your library of things. I want to go myself and spend a whole day with you and watch and look at things that I've put on film. It's just thrilling. I thank you so much for this honor. I just can't wait to get this big bowl home, and I'll put some wonderful things in there and think of you all the time. All you broadcasters, I want to thank you very much for this wonderful honor. I am so proud to be a part of you all.
You know, if you were to play a game of 6 degrees of separation with our next honoree, you'd likely lose. You see, his world often involves 1 degree of separation. It seems in broadcasting, everybody knows Neil Shapiro. Indeed, we witnessed this at the last in-person Giants luncheon, if you'll recall, where so many of the honorees acknowledged Neil in their acceptance speeches that the few who hadn't either worked with him or had a story to tell about him quickly added his name to their remarks and thanked him anyway. It was hilarious. Imagine being able to keep an audience emotionally engaged without even trying. Neil honed his craft as a writer and producer for Peter Jennings, traveling the world for World News Tonight and later ABC's Primetime Live. He became the executive producer of Dateline NBC, the first primetime multi-night news magazine. He oversaw the production of breaking news stories like Oklahoma City's bombing, the death of Princess Diana, the Columbine tragedy, the war in Kosovo, and the Clinton impeachment. Dateline went from 1 night to 2 nights to 3, 4, and finally an astonishing 5 nights a week, with approximately 800 news stories a year. I remember the nightly story pitch pack squeezed into giant binders. That kid went on to become president of NBC News, where he led additional top-rated programs like The Today Show, NBC Nightly News, and Meet the Press. And since 2007, this zealot of broadcasting has been the president and CEO of the WNET Group, overseeing Channel 13, WLIW 21, NJPBS, and All Arts, which is dedicated 24/7 to arts and culture. The group produces wonderful, acclaimed PBS series like Great Performances, American Masters, Nature, Amanpour and Company, PBS NewsHour Weekend, Secrets of the Dead, and Treasures of New York, to name just a few. Since Neil has already won 32 Emmys, 31 Murrow Awards, and several Peabodys and a couple of Columbia DuPont Awards, that big cobalt blue Giants Bowl is really going to stand out. And I happen to know because we live together. And we've been married for 25 years. And honey, we're really, frankly, running out of space for all your awards. But this one, I know, will have an honored place. Congratulations, Neil.
Let me start with this. This is a tape message. I say that because I've seen our host, also my wife, MC many times, and if this were live, I know she would tease me or try to embarrass me about something. And believe me, there's a lot to work with. But since we're not live, and I don't know what she said in her intro, I'll just say, thank you, Juju. I'll have more to say about you just a bit later. And that, of course, is foreshadowing. Just one tool I use to stretch a 7-minute crime story into a 2-hour Dateline murder mystery. And if this were a Dateline, we'd say, let's go back to where it all began. In this case, Albany, New York. It turns out my interest in broadcasting began in utero. My mother picked my middle name, Barry, because she was worried about anti-Semitism and thought if I went on TV, I could drop my last name. Neil Barry sounded a lot less Jewish. As a young boy, when I wasn't mesmerized watching television, I was thinking about being on it. I borrowed my father's movie camera one day to interview my sister. I was 6, she was 3. It was an early lesson in the importance of a guest with at least a modest vocabulary. Soon I was turning down the sound on baseball's Game of the Week so I could do my own play-by-play. I understand Bob Costas did the same thing as a boy, and Bob, don't worry, I'm sure it'll all come in handy eventually. When I was 15, I got my radio license so I could read the news on the air on WOKO 1460 Albany. I also had a DJ, and I was probably the only Jewish DJ doing country gospel. I just realized it should have been Neil Barry doing that. But back to our story. My parents, especially my dad, was worried his son was no Bob Costas and urged me to go to law school. Later, my parents watched with pride my unlikely ascent in television, and they would have gotten such a kick out of the fact that now I'm a giant of broadcasting. So let me just say, I'm so honored to be included in this year's incredible class of inductees, and I want to acknowledge just how lucky I've been. You know, so often I ended up at the right place at the right time. In Berlin the day the wall fell, in the Philippines when the Marcos government tumbled, in New York running NBC News on 9/11. Throughout my career, I've had bosses who gave me all kinds of opportunities and saw more potential in me than I knew I had. And I've been so lucky to work with so many talented people from different perspectives and backgrounds. I can't name all of them because we'd be here until the Jets win the Super Bowl. But I can say they taught me so much and often made my ideas so much better. It's that creative process that I really love about broadcasting. The researchers who find new material, the camera crews and editors who add a distinct look, the reporters and anchors who bring their own questions and vision, the executives who shape and sharpen the story, and of course the lawyers who keep us all out of jail. So if I am a giant, it's only because I stand on the shoulders of so many. And that includes all my current colleagues at the WNET Group and PBS. My job now has me on the air a lot, so people recognize me and tell me how much it means to them to see media that informs or inspires. It reminds me what great impact we have when we all do our jobs well. Now, I said I won't call out anyone, but there is that one person, you remember. I said I'd have more to say about her when I started telling you the story just 2 hours ago. Juju Chang is the reason that I've been able to hold a series of demanding jobs and still be able to enjoy our lives and our 3 great sons. That's only happened because Juju has been so supportive and so understanding through it all. And I think she'd love me even if I never became a giant at all. So how's this for a great throw in broadcasting? Honey, back to you.
As a 2-term senator from Oregon, Gordon Smith's impressive range of specialties include the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Of course, the thing that really stood out to our industry was his service on the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, which, of course, oversees all broadcast-related legislation. In fact, it was serving as chair of the Senate High-Tech Task Force that helped foster his interest in new media and new technology issues. If you haven't met the senator, he has this wonderful, stately, selfless, eloquent style. It's been said that he was as thoughtful and kind and decent outside of the political arena as he was tough and competitive inside of it. As you can see, the perfect sequel to this Mr. Smith Goes to Washington story was when the National Association of Broadcasters succeeded in landing this quintessential leader as its president and CEO. When Senator Smith sat before the hiring committee at NAB, he was asked what it means to have the soul of a broadcaster. To him, it means, quote, a passion, a dedication, and a determination to serve your local communities, day in and day out. These past 12 years, he's been a guiding light and a major force multiplier, demonstrating what can be accomplished when the industry speaks with one united voice. His tenure will be remembered as a critically important chapter in broadcast history. The Library of American Broadcast Foundation proudly salutes Senator Gordon H. Smith as a giant of broadcasting.
Thank you to the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation for this great honor. I'm especially pleased to be recognized alongside my broadcast colleagues who've served on NAB's board of directors, Jordan Wurtlieb, Emily Barr, and Russell Perry. I also congratulate all the other giants of broadcasting honorees whose innovation, creativity, and leadership in the industry have long been admired by me and all. In my 12 years at NAB, I've been fortunate to stand on the shoulders of true giants of our industry, the radio and television broadcasters of our local communities. This award means a lot to me because it reaffirms the commitment I've had to advocating on their behalf in our nation's capital. America's broadcasters provide the news, investigative reporting, and emergency updates that keep our communities safe, informed, and connected. This has never been more vital to our communities than in the past 20 months, as our world has been turned upside down by a global pandemic. These people these broadcasters are the bastions and defenders of our vital First Amendment rights, the freedom of speech and of the press. And they're forging ahead with the latest and greatest technology for the benefit of the industry and, more important, for the benefit of the American people. It's been an amazing 12 years working in this business. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm proud to have advocated for an industry that takes seriously its role in serving the public. Undeniably, these are times of constant change, but broadcasters are leading their communities through this change to a brighter future. So, standing on the shoulders of these giants, we can envision broadcasting's bright future, which will always include a focus on public service that local stations so uniquely and critically provide to our communities. President Woodrow Wilson once said, quote, "You are not here merely to make a living. You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, and with a finer spirit of hope and achievement." End of quote. It has been my great honor to work with America's broadcasters to achieve our greater vision of serving our communities, to offer a reassuring voice during uncertain times, and to spread hope when they seek comfort. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this great honor. I'm so very thankful for this recognition and for all of you in this great industry, the true giants of broadcasting.
Jordan Wurtlieb is a champion of localism. As president of Hearst Television, he's managed oversight responsibility for 33 television and 2 radio stations, serving 26 media markets across 39 states. With the moral conviction of a superhero, he is a staunch defender of quality journalism, and he inspires community service that truly makes a difference in people's lives. For example, last year, the group launched an initiative known as Project Community, where journalists explored issues of racism and social injustice to make sure that tough conversations were being had, lessons were being learned, and that people were empowered to make lasting change. Jordan is also exceptionally devoted to mentorship and growing future leaders. Hearst was originally a client of Jordan's when he was a television sales account executive at Katz Communications. He went on to work for Hearst stations WCVB-TV in Boston, and WBAL-TV in Baltimore, before ending up at headquarters in New York. Today, he also serves as a senior VP at Hearst Corporation and is a member of the Hearst Board of Directors. Jordan's sterling leadership is also widely sought after in the industry. He is the immediate past chairman of the NAB Joint Board of Directors, and in addition, he is a current vice chair at the Broadcasters Foundation of America, as well as a past president and chair of the NBC Affiliates Board. He's in Broadcasting and Cable's Hall of Fame, and he most recently received the Lou Klein Award for Leadership, presented by the National Association of Television Program Executives. Congratulations to Jordan Wurtlieb, a true giant of broadcasting.
I am honored to receive this award and be among this distinguished group and all past honorees. Most notably, it is incredibly humbling to join my predecessor, David Barrett, and Hearst's former CEO, Frank Bennick, in accepting this award. I've had the privilege to work with David, Frank, and of course, former Hearst Television CEO, John Conomikes, and the Hearst Corporation's current CEO, Steve Swartz, for many years. I am truly blessed to have had the true giants mentor me and shape my career for nearly 30 years at Hearst. Words cannot accurately express what it's like working with the legends of our industry day after day. I also want to thank the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation, Joyce Tudrin, and current board chairs Jack Goodman and Heidi Raphael for this wonderful honor. I am especially proud to be in the same class with those I have served with on the NAB board, including Russell Perry, past NAB TV Chair Emily Barr, and of course NAB CEO Senator Gordon Smith, who has led the NAB the last 12 years and will continue to provide our industry invaluable counsel for years to come. I want to thank my wife, Kathy. We celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary just 1 week ago today. She is my true partner. I also want to thank our 3 children, Emily, Blake, and Caroline, and our soon-to-be son-in-law, Tony. As many in the industry know, being in the broadcasting business is a family affair, one that requires patience, flexibility, some canceled family dinners, shortened vacations, and for many of us, relocations, which can truly be hard. It's part of the mission in serving the community, which we all know is a job that has little boundaries but endless rewards. It is a profession with a purpose like few others. The mission and the importance of broadcasting has never been more evident than the past 2 years. Broadcasters have served their local communities through a global pandemic, severe weather, an unprecedented election, and tragic events such as the murder of George Floyd and other victims of racial injustice and inequity that have further illuminated this country's need for significant social justice reform. Our journalists have been and continue to be on the front line every day, working side by side with the first responders, the people who are serving the community in time of our crisis, keeping our viewers, who are also our neighbors, informed and safe. And despite a climate where news crews are frequently met with great vitriol from those who wish to live in an information echo chamber, news crews continue to do the hard and important work of holding our leaders accountable, shedding light on injustice, and providing local platforms for new ideas, discourse, and avenues for change. I truly believe broadcasters have been and continue to be the immune system of democracy, and I couldn't be more honored to serve next to the giants who work in our industry and specifically across Hearst Television every day. On behalf of my colleagues in our corporate office and the nearly 4,000 Hearst Television employees across the country who have spent the last 20 months exhaustingly working to make their communities safe and to make our country better by keeping the public informed, I thank you for this wonderful honor.
Bravo and congratulations to all of our 2021 Giants of Broadcasting and the Electronic Arts. Now, before we take you back to your virtual tables, we share our distinguished roster of all Giants with appreciation for the memorable contributions to our industry. Please feel free to say hello and table hop. And to do so, you have to click X in the upper right-hand corner of your personal table grid, and then click the word join at another table to see if the seat's now available. I know it's complicated, but it's fun. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you back at Gotham Hall on November 15th, 2022. Mark your calendars.